When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun.
Welcome to Restoration RV. I'm your host, Stephanie Dean, your resident communications professor and travel nerd. I have been traveling my entire life, living in everything from teepees to campers all over the US, to hostels in the Alps and hotels overlooking the gorgeous beaches of Greece. I am currently in the Southeast, restoring my latest project and trying to live as sustainably as possible, which is what this podcast is all about: renovation, minimizing, and sustainability.
We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Welcome to episode number 6. Guys, I am so sorry for the break. There's been a lot of illness. A lot of people have had a lot of illness of various people in the household. One week led to another, and well, here we are. But this shouldn't happen again. We're in the middle of a renovation project, and I have so much to tell you about. But first, I want to get that one last episode in the series of boondocking in. We're going to touch on boondocking again, but right now I just want to kind of complete that series of 3 that we had. We've actually had a lot of hits on the first 2 episodes, so I didn't want to leave you hanging with this one last one about the best apps. A little warning about using apps to boondock, however, and yes, this is my professor coming out. But many boondocking areas have really bad cell signal. You may be about to go where you want to go and not have cell signal anymore, or you're about to get where you want to go and you may not have cell signal anymore. It's always a good idea to have a backup plan and a good old-fashioned paper map with you at all times, or take an app that you can download the maps and the areas that you want to go to. It's really important, and you never know, it just may save your bacon. So with that said, let's get to the apps. I've got 5 of my favorite apps that I use pretty regularly. The first one is Allstays. Allstays is pretty cool. It's iOS universal, one price for all devices on the iPad and the iPhone. iTunes has rated it the number 1 selling, number 1 ranked, number 1 reviewed for camping. So this app's been around about 8 years, and because it's been around long enough and because people add to it, there's a lot of information there, and that's pretty handy. You can filter things, you can look up by data type, by state, by city, with or without service. You can look and see where there is rest stops, dump stations, supplies, RV service, low bridges. That's an important one. Have you seen the pictures go around Facebook where someone has taken off the top of their fifth wheel because they came upon a low bridge too early? There are different ways to deal with that. That's a different podcast episode where we'll talk about different tech that you can use so you can avoid things like low bridges and little, hard to turn around places that will scratch the crap out of your RV. But in this app, you can also check weather, road conditions, emergencies. You can look up various state laws, and that's important for people that like to carry, open carry, dogs, different things like that. There's over 30,000 campgrounds, it's both in the US and in Canada. They've got campgrounds that are private. They've got national and state forests. They've got state parks. They've got county and city parks. They have BLM land and Army Corps of Engineer camps. They have military camps. Of course, things like KOA, Good Sam, Escapees, Passport America, 1,000 Trails, all the main memberships are there too. But even like things like primitive hike-ins or boat-ins or rough road spots. Now, if you're going to boat in with your RV, more power to you. That's one thing that my guy really wants to do. He keeps saying he wants to put pontoon boat things on the bottom of RV, and I just roll my eyes. But, he's put up with my crazy for a while, so what can I do? But yeah, so that is, unfortunately, one big downside is it's iOS only, and a lot of people out there have Androids too, but it's Allstays Camp and RV. It's for iOS. The second one that I want to talk about is such a cool idea. It doesn't have quite as robust a system yet, but they're building it, and it's a nonprofit. And what's really cool about it is it not only educates people, but that the money that they get or they earn from it goes back to help build different lands, back to the forestry system, and it's all transparent because it's a nonprofit. So they're focused on helping people enjoy nature in respectful and sustainable ways. And that is so cool. So with Free Roam, this is called Free Roam, and it's a free app on Android and iOS. You can find campsites to stay at, of course. That's like our main agenda with these, right? You can filter by things like cell signal, weather, safety, how crowded it is. You can filter by if it's public land like BLM or the state forest land. You can overlay different cell phone coverages because, a lot of us have more than one type of cell phone out there. When we're in different spots, because we know, I have T-Mobile, which we sometimes call T-Maybe because it doesn't reach everywhere. You can find dump sites, you can find freshwater, groceries, propane, cell towers, all the kind of normal stuff all of these apps have. And if you haven't used an app like this and you're trying to boondock, or not even trying to boondock, when you're trying to plan a trip and find, okay, I'm going to stay here at this trailhead because I really want to hike this trail, but are there any dump stations nearby? Do I need to bring water with me, or can I get water at a fresh water station somewhere near me? All these kind of little details really add up, and to have an app that you trust and that has reviews from actual real other people just cuts down on your research time so much. We're about to take a trip up to the Smoky Mountains, and I've used this app to find things like, is there going to be any cell service so I can do a little work while I'm there? Are dogs allowed on trails, which, spoiler alert, only 2. Things like because I'm kind of new with the camping around a lot of bears, like how is the best way to store my food when you're in a bear site? So being able to have a forum of people that comment on things and then you can ask questions from is invaluable. That's why these apps are invaluable. But in this app, I'm sorry, I digress a little bit. In Free Roam, you can do things also like watch videos of others that are describing the campsites. You can leave your own review or read other people's reviews, but there's also offline support built in. And I keep stressing this and how important this is. But you know, if you've boondocked or if you've been in a state park or a national park, cell signal is pretty much non-existent. You can also find overnight parking locations. So if you're just doing a stopover and you don't want to necessarily pay a bunch of money to stay in a KOA or somewhere else, you can search for the Walmarts that still let people, for casinos, for rest areas, for Crackle Barrels. If you guys didn't know it, Crackle Barrel is a great place to stop. They have 4 spots per each Crackle Barrel. But this lets you plan out your trip, chat with other boondockers, and even find products. So they have product reviews, like for lithium batteries. That's actually one thing I specifically have been reviewing on these different websites, looking for my own kind of solar setup that I'm starting to build. So what are the best lithium batteries? Who's tested them? Which ones don't work and that have been shipped here and are just kind of crap? Again, a different podcast episode. So the third one is Campendium. And Campendium's been around a while. I'm sure you've heard about them. They've put a lot of money into advertising, or at least I feel like I've seen a lot of advertisements lately, perhaps because the algorithm of Google has discovered that I am looking up these apps and says, well, if you want to know more about these, let me show you Campendium 50 million times. But despite having seen it 50 million times, it actually is a really good platform to use. In fact, it was the first platform that I used when I started getting into RV life and camping. Or camping as an adult in an RV, not, camping as a kid was easy. I just went where my parents took me. So it's the first platform. Campendium is one of the first platforms to bring together all this different information. So it's aggregating this information from blogs and forums and websites into an app that you can have on your cell phone. It makes it easy to read. And that's also really, really useful. Bringing all this research that you would have to go to 50 different websites into one place is super valuable because your time is valuable. It's designed for modern RVers, tent campers, and is they say that they are a complete resource for researching camping trips from RV parks to national parks to free dispersed camping on BLM land. That's a big claim, but they are actually really good. So the next 2 that I'm going to talk about, one is a complete paid subscription app, and the other one, it has a free version, but also a pro version. And so the first one that has the free and the pro version is called the Dirt. And you may have seen that recently. If you guys like me are T-Mobile users and you do T-Mobile Tuesdays, you'll see that it was on half price, I think a month ago, maybe 2 weeks to a month ago. They say they're the number one camping app of 2020, but I think camping and RVing tend to get conflated. So when I'm talking about these RV apps, I'm bringing in some that also have camping in it. So, excuse me, still a little bit allergy-y. So with the Dirt, you get free access to a ton of camping information. You get reviews about federal, like recreation.gov sites, national parks, state parks, county parks, BLM land. Of course, the usuals like KOA, Good Sam, Thousand Trails. Now, when you see reviews on these kind of places, it's really useful because you're not seeing reviews that are necessarily left on proprietary sites. You're getting people that have actually been to these places. But like a lot of these apps, you can also filter, and that's important. So filter by your type of camping. Are you in a tent? Are you in an RV? Are you in a pop-up? Do you want a glamp? Do you want to be around no cell signal and very few people? Tell them your type of camping and they will find a spot for you. But what's really cool about this too is you can actually save and reserve from their app, and you can't do that from all these apps. So you can save the trips, you can request reservations, and you can search without Wi-Fi, but that's the pro version. So the difference, the pro version is $35.99 a year, which is kind of high considering what you're mainly getting is offline access. So a lot of these others that I've talked about, the 3 others that I've talked about, they all have offline access as well, but you usually just have to download whatever it is. So the Dirt will keep it updated for you. I've downloaded the Pro now. They basically ask you to download it when you first get the Pro subscription. You truly do have a worry-free app where you can search these things. So again, if you have changed plans, because we did that one time. We were staying at we made a reservation at a place near Cadillac Ranch, and we got there and we were like, oh no, nope, not staying here. So then we had to sit and scramble and try to figure out what's our next move. We really want to go see Cadillac Ranch. Is there something near here that we could stay at? If you don't have good cell signal, it's harder to make those just quick and dirty moves. So having something like this where your plans do change is really valuable because you still do have, whether you have cell signal or not, you have access to places around you and really good information about it. So the last one that I want to talk about, and this is going to be kind of a shorter episode. It's a, hey guys, welcome back. We're going to call this season 2 and we're going to get into it, is Harvest Hosts. And I know you've heard about Harvest Hosts. And I'll be honest, when I first heard about Harvest Hosts, I was kind of like, yeah, okay. But it's a subscription service and I'm paying $80 a year. And what am I actually getting from that? Like I can boondock in places that, do I really want to boondock in? But then when you actually start looking at where you can boondock, they're so cool. You hear about the wineries, and wineries are cool, and I like wineries. I mean, granted, I like wineries, but it's not just wineries. There's wineries, there's breweries, there's golf courses, there's museums, there's strange kind of attractions that you would never think, hey, I can boondock here, because it looks more like private or small businesses or larger businesses where you would never ever think to ask them, hey, do you mind if I pull up and stay over tonight? But with Harvest Host, you actually can. I'm going to do one this weekend, in fact, at a winery near Chattanooga. I'm really excited about this. It looks gorgeous. So it is a membership-based network. It's $79. Actually, I've got a code for you to get 15% off if you want to try it. And I do recommend it. I was on the fence at first, but the more I discovered what they had, they just have so many cool places. And it's not just all West Coast either. It's easy to find boondocking on the West Coast. Am I right? I'm on the East Coast. I go out to the West Coast for fun and camping and a different type of adventure. But the East Coast, because I live in Alabama right now, is kind of my everyday place to go to. So all up and down the East Coast, they actually have a lot of places on Harvest Host. And that was another thing that kind of kept me on the fence. When you look at, for example, BLM land, there's just not a lot of BLM land over here. There's not a lot of boondocking sites that you can easily find if you're not from here. And I'm actually not. I'm from the West Coast. I'm from Washington State. But this helps you find these really cool places all over the U.S. They have over 1,200 wineries. More are coming all the time. Breweries, farms, other attractions. And each host site has its appeal. Some are really unique options like aviation museums. There's a wildlife rescue facility. There's a moonshine distillery, an alligator ranch. There's a maple sugar farm. So like I said, it's not just wineries. There's a lot of really cool things. And for the extra $40, you can add 350 golf courses and country clubs to your membership. So if you want to stay somewhere and you want to feel safe and see something really cool, this is a really great option. If you use the code RestorationRV, all one word, that gets you 15% off the annual $79. I do get a kickback from this. It does help the podcast continue, so I do thank you for that if you want to use it, but it also gives you a really cool experience. So that would end up being about $64.65 with tax a year, which is, a couple nights at a KOA or, 3 nights at a state park. So it's totally worth it. You always have a safe place to land. What they do ask is you go in, if there's a museum tour, you go on the tour, or you buy a bottle of wine or a slice of cheese. One requirement, though, is that you do have to have a self-contained RV or van, but no pop-ups. So when I was in my pop-up, I couldn't do this, even though I really wanted to when I was crossing the U.S. last summer. But you can't. You have to have a self-contained hard side RV. That's the one kind of big thing. But you can have vans, you can have RVs. You just have to have a bathroom and a cooking space is the requirements that they give you. So again, if you want to try it out, 15% off using the code RestorationRV. That's RestorationRV, one word, at checkout, and you'll get 15% off. So those are my top 5, but I want to throw in an honorable mention here, and that's the All Trails app. So I have been using this a lot lately with a state park that I have literally an exit up from me. And what it does, you can download the area maps again if you don't have cell signal, because state parks tend to never do. But it gives you really great hiking trails, and you can filter by how hard they are, if they allow animals, if kids should try it out, or if it's going to be too hard for kids. It lets you download a bunch of different layers of maps. It's a really good, comprehensive app for hiking. And the reason that I'm giving this an honorable mention is it's not for RV or camping at all, but a lot of these trailheads have really good boondocking spots at the trailhead. So if you're really interested in boondocking in a place where you're going to go hiking, check out All Trails app. Or if you're going to go hiking wherever you're boondocking, again, totally great app. Love it, love it, love it. All Trails app. So those are my 5 apps and the one honorable mention that I think that you should have. You should probably have all of them so you have some redundancy. And they all kind of offer a little bit different, which is fun when you go in and compare them. You perhaps aren't as research nerd orientated as I am, though, when going in and comparing them. But totally worth having. Definitely make sure you have download ability to make sure that you have the information that you need if your cell signal doesn't work wherever you are. And take a paper map, have a backup, because what if your battery dies? What if it's been looking for GPS, looking for cell signal, wears itself out, poor little cell phone, your battery's dead, and you have no idea where you are? Take paper maps with you. Always take paper maps with you. Little safety Sally tip there. Oh, guys, it was great to be back. I've really missed this. I actually love podcasting, and I'm so excited to be doing this again. I have so much planned, so much coming. We're almost done with our restoration of a little 16-foot hard side Jayco Featherlight. I can't wait to tell you guys all about it, and some really cool things that have to do with internet and getting better cell signal and all tech stuff. So I will see you soon. Thanks for listening to Restoration RV with me, your traveling host, Steph. I upload every Wednesday about all things travel, sustainability, healthy living on the road. If you like the show and you want to know more, check out my website at restorationrv.net or leave me a review on iTunes. Join me next week when we try out a pretty super duper internet system for those of you that are full-time on the road or those of you who are just weekend warriors that need to get some work done. We're going to put it to the test in a place that has little to no cell signal, but as you guys know, if you've got any kind of cell booster, you have to have some cell signal to boost, and we are going to put a couple to the test. So I will see you next week. Thanks for being here.